All right, we got the feet all welded on the shipping containers. I needed to do that before we put this first board on, and I'll show you. But basically, I found these clamps at Lowe's. They're a 3" by 3". Simpson strong tie makes them, and they're galvanized and all that. And basically, they're gonna go in the foot in there, and a bolt will come through it. It's actually going to be reversed. I'm just putting that up there to get it in there, but they work perfect for putting in these shipping containers. So I'm going to bolt a board at the bottom here, and I'm going to bolt a board at the top, and then I'm going to take 2x4s and rip them in half, and I'll just use 2x2s because we're just going to side this whole side of the container is going to be sided, and then we'll go all the way up to our eave of our roof here on this one, and we'll get started. But I thought these are pretty cool. They were like $7 or $8, and we have 8 of them to put on. The other side of the shipping container have the doors, so we don't have to worry about that. We're gonna leave that open, just the shipping container doors. We'll end up painting that. Hopefully I can get a ratchet in there to tighten these bolts. That's the only thing I'm worried about. But we'll see how it goes. So I think we're gonna have these up off the ground just a little bit, just so I can get a good bolt into here. It's going to be nice and flush on the inside here. We're actually going to build a wall. It's only 1 foot. This is going to have a 12-foot by 12-foot garage door on it. So this will be just a 1-foot wall. The siding will run down on our siding edge. So the siding will run down here. That way water and stuff can't, bugs and all that stuff can't get up into this spot. So it's going to look like it worked out pretty perfect. So let's see what we got here. These out. We got our 3x3 piece here. See if we can get it in there somehow. All right, and get our bolt up there. This little magnet, telescoping magnet, works pretty good. Getting this. Cool little tool. So there's the bolt. I don't know if you can see in there, pretty rusty. There's the nut and washer. Now we just got to tighten the nut down. We're good to go. Where's the man? What you doing, buddy? Are you helping me? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. That's my good boy. Good boy. That's the man. Yeah. Little magnet works great. All right, just got to bolt that side and then do the same thing at the top. All right, it's about out of light, but I got my boards bolted to the container. That's a 2x4 and that's a treated 2x4 with those Simpson strong ties. They're 3" by 3", and those are 3.5" bolts and a nut and a washer, and it worked absolutely perfect. It's like they were made for shipping containers, so I'm really happy that I found that. Tomorrow I'll start building a little wall underneath those 2x6s, and then we'll fur out this container 1.5 inches so that we can side it, and we can start working on our garage door. We're still waiting for our scaffolding to come in. Hopefully next week. They say it should be in, so we'll have to see. So we'll see you in the morning. Mr. Man, were you just laying in the snow? Huh? Aren't you cold? No? Good boy. Good. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. What's going on? Mr. Man and I, Ryder, is we're out here. We're gonna bolt the other plates on to the other shipping container. We ran up and got 4 more of those 3" Simpson strong washers. They fit perfectly into the foot of the shipping container, so we went up and got some more for doing this one. So we're gonna start by taking care of this side. We already have them bolted on the other container, and then we can start laying 2x4s against those, and then start framing up the front of that barn. Working on our garage door here. We got some snow last night. It's been pretty warm. It's been in the 40s, but now it's dipped down to 30s. So Ryder loves it because it's not as muddy, and he gets to come out and be my shadow and run around, and he comes and checks in once in a while, and then he just gets to go play on the property for as long as he wants. So he's having a blast. Tanya's in editing the video, and I'm gonna just try to plug along on stuff that I can do by myself while she's doing that. We should be starting our rafters as soon as our scaffolding gets in. We're all set to go. We have them. As you saw, we have our lumber all covered up. That first piece of it is all of our rafters. They're 18 feet long, and so I'm gonna get going. I'm just using a little magnet, and it's holding this washer on, and I'm going to try to slip this washer onto this board. It is not easy to do this. Get the nut out. All right, we got them bolted on. This side was a lot harder than the other side. You can see there's the bolt coming through. This side has a plate that will run 2x4s up and down studs on them, and they'll be cut flat on the bottom, and then they'll have a 5/12 pitch, and then that will sheet that outside of it. But you can see that's the plate of that one. That one over there has a different structure on the top of the shipping container. This one had like a flat spot. That one had like a beam cut into it, so I was able to put two 2x4s together for that side and make kind of like a header, and then I'm just going to run studs right on top of it. This one I had to put a plate, and I just nailed it on top of this other stud, and then it's bearing right down on top of the shipping container, bolted to it. I'll run studs up on that, nail them to this rafter that's going to come down, so it'll be really strong. But just a little bit different. Every shipping container is built just a little different apparently, but so it turned out pretty good. I'll show you the other side, get a better idea of how these bolts come together. They're really cool, you know. So they're bolted right on top of it, and then if you see down in there, they're just bolted in. So I can get to, this is how the bottom of the shipping container looks as well. So if it was up in the air, you could easily get in there and put a wrench and tighten it stuff, but when it's sitting on the ground, then it's harder. That side over there has a plate on top, so I can't get to the top, so I had to fish through just that little opening on the side, but it's doable, totally doable. And this is like super strong, so I'm really happy. We'll run studs up and down vertically, and then we'll put sheeting on there, and then all the way up into our eave of the roof line. So I'll jump on that next. What's going on, guys? Today we're gonna start putting our upright studs in on the front of these shipping containers. We have the top and bottom plates bolted on, and so now we're gonna run 2x2s up vertically up the front of these shipping containers, and then we're gonna build a 1-foot section or so for the garage door. It's gonna be a big 12x12 garage door between the shipping containers here, and we can start framing that. So that's my plan for today. It's kind of rainy, gloomy. There's big holes in the clouds that the sun's peeking out, so it's kind of nice here and there, but for the most part it's pretty gloomy. But it's a perfect day to be outside. It's about 40 degrees, so I can't complain about that. So I'm gonna start getting all my tools ready and start ripping 2x4s in half for our 2x2s. All right, I got the first board in and made it really nice and tight. Had to smash it in there with a hammer. But the way we're gonna bolt this is because this board is treated, I can't just shoot our framing nails in there because they're not galvanized. So what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use deck screws. I'm gonna pre-drill these and toenail these 2x that are laying flat into these plates that we put on here. And only because this is a treated board and you need to have some sort of a treated fastener, we're going to use those screws that we bought to do our form boards and for the concrete, and they're just a treated deck screw, so it works out really well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on those pre-drill and throw some screws in there. Same thing at the top. Well, this is the board that we're going to use to rip in half and put on the front of this container to make it a 2x2. Basically, a 2x2 is all it is a 2x4 that people cut in half. You can buy 2x2s that are already done for you, but it's just so easy to rip these in half. And if you ever wonder what these notches are on the square, on this speed square, these are great to have. Not only do they tell you your common rafter angles, so if you want to go up and cut a 512, it's 22.5 degrees, so it tells you all the common rafters. It also, you could use it for hips and valleys. It's so good, but it also has these teeth right here that are along this tape measure side, and I want to rip this board at 1 3/4 inches. So if you just go over 1 3/4 inches, you can see that there's a tooth here, and basically all you do is put it on there and then just run your square and your pencil along this board, and it puts a nice mark at whatever desired measurement you want to cut, all the way up to 5.5 inches, from 1 inch to 5.5. So these are really great speed squares to have. This is a really nice one, aluminum, so it's kind of lightweight. And so we'll mark these out real quick, rip them with the saw, and throw them up there. Of course, the battery would die in the middle of the cut. All right, we got it up. Just pretty simple framing, just 16 on center. I used full 2x4s on each edge, ripped a couple 2x4s in half for the center, and now what I need to do is, inside this shipping container is going to be my workshop. So I'm going to build a 36-inch tall workbench on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put cross braces in here to tie all these boards together, and then I'm going to bolt them. You can kind of see the ribs of this container kind of go in and out. So the ones that come out on the inside, those go in, so I can hide a bolt in there and still be able to fasten whatever I need to, and they won't be in the way. So that's what we're going to do. I think I'm going to put some 2x2 cross braces, maybe in the top and the bottom, maybe 3 foot up and 3 foot down, something like that. Bolt those to the shipping container, which will make them really strong, and then we'll be able to start putting some sheeting up. Next, I need to go in and frame in that little triangle below that small shed roof that covers this container, and those will just align with these studs, so they'll keep the same layout. That way we can just run sheeting right up and it would be no big deal. So I'm going to jump on that. Next, it was not supposed to rain. You can see it's just a crazy day. There's big clouds coming in. It's all rain right there, but then there's, you know, not rain. So I don't know what's going on with this weather. It is not supposed to rain, but this is Idaho. It does whatever it wants. So and that's why we love it here. So we'll keep going. So for these rafters that are going to be filling in this little triangle underneath this roof, you saw me level up a line up to where the rafter is. It's going to sit on top of this plate. It's basically a header, because I screwed two 2x4s together and made a header and then bolted them to the shipping container. I'm going to set the stud upright on there, so I need to cut a 5-degree bevel on the top of that stud. So what I did is I got this line up here and I measured my long point, and so now I just have to set, like I showed you on my square, a 5/12 pitch is 22.5 degrees. So I just have to set my saw on a 22.5 degree bevel, and then I could rip through this board and then throw it up there. So let's do it. So there's the bevel on there. And we'll throw it up here. See if I can get you guys a good angle up here. And now all we have to do is just plumb this board up. Grab the screw gun, screw it down. Do kind of see how that 2x4 is kind of sticking out, so I just have to make sure that I play it to plumb this up. So you can see it needs to go out about a 1/2 inch or so, and then I'll put a screw up into that one. The cool thing about these framing this way, the stick framing, is that when I cut a 5/12 bevel on this board, I now can just flip the board over, and I now have the cut bevel on that side, and then I can just measure over for my next stud, cut it off, then I can continue, and I can just use all my scrap up. And that way, this is all just cut-offs from putting these full boards on the sides. So that's the best way to use up all your scrap, is to figure out how you could use these cuts and angles and not have to square that up again. You're just going to waste material. So that's the way I like to do it. All right, we got this one just about done. Pretty easy. Everything's falling right into play. That's the scrap I have. I mean, I cut 7 boards. This 2x2 we'll use for this next container, because there's actually 5 of the 2x2 pieces ripped, and then I'm using the cutoffs for the spots in between. So once we do that side, I'm going to run more cutoffs. You can kind of see I already have a red line popped. I'm going to run those up there, and this wall turned out to be very, very strong. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt. I'm debating on whether I should bolt 2 bolts or if I'm going to do 3 bolts. But with it bolted at the top and then tied into the rafter and bolted at the bottom, it's super strong. And then once I bolt it through the sides of the containers here, that is not going anywhere. So it's getting a little bit late. We're running out of light, so I'm going to clean up, and we're actually going to run to the store here and grab some stuff for dinner. But tomorrow I'm going to jump onto that side, for that side out. And then basically there's going to be a 12-foot tall garage door right here that I'm debating on whether I should frame that now or if I should wait till my rafters are in, because the top of that small wall on that lighter container is actually 12 feet. So the header is actually going to sit on top of that, and we'll show you guys how we're doing that. I have it all planned out to how we're going to do the header, and we're going to tie it into that wall and tie it into this wall, even though it doesn't need to be that long. You know, typically a header is about 6 inches bigger than the rough opening, but for a garage door. But why not have it go back and tie into this wall and sit on top of the shipping container and sit on top of a wall that we're going to put out like it usually would in conventional framing. So I'm really trying to build this barn as strong as you can possibly build it, and everything seems to be working out perfect. So we'll catch you guys in the morning. Well, good morning, guys. We're back out. It's a gorgeous day outside today. We're going to continue putting these 2x2s on the other shipping container, and then we're going to frame in our garage door, do our big header. I'm ripping now boards for these. So I got the 2 sides full ones up. Now I'm ripping my 2x2s, and then I'm going to screw those in with treated deck screws. Because of this treated board down here, so we're using deck screws so we don't have any problems. I got my layout going, everything's looking good, so we're gonna get these ripped, put them up, and then we'll start working on these inside walls for the garage door. You'll see, but basically the top of this small wall on this container on the left is about where the bottom of the header is going to be, which is 12 foot. So it's going to be really tight right there, but it's as tall as we can make it, which is the reason why we went with a 5/12 pitch, so that we could actually pull our RV in here. Our RV roof is like a little over 11 and like 3 or 4 inches with the air conditioner, so we have to have a 12-foot garage door so we could get it in here. Plus it's really going to make the barn look really cool. So we're going to get that going, and then Tanya's actually inside the container right now, moving around some stuff, trying to get organized, so that when we get our solar package, we have a place to put it inside the shipping containers, and then we can start framing that. As soon as we have the roof on, we're going to jump right on the solar. So I'm going to get rolling on these boards and get them up, and then we'll jump on the doors. last 2x2 is up. Now all we have to do is just fill some cross braces in, and then bolt those to the shipping container, and then it'll be incredibly strong. So we'll keep going. We're just using the same carriage bolts we did as for bolting on the roof to those brackets that I welded up there, and these will work perfect for doing this as well. See it? Tiny's inside bolting them. And we kind of recessed them in so that when we sheet this wall, it won't stick out past and give a little bubble for the sheeting. All right, got them bolted on. It's super strong now. We'll do the same thing for the other side, and then we'll start our sheeting process. All right, since we have our drill and everything out and we're bolting those boards on the front of the container, I thought I'd tackle this back side. So this is the door. See, we're not gonna side any of this stuff. We're gonna wire brush and grind this all down and paint it. But I really want to attach this wall to the container somehow. So I think what I'm gonna do is drill a hole through this flange. It's only about 1/8 inch metal, and then I'll screw it to this board in a couple places on both sides, and that'll really lock this wall in, and then we'll be able to put some caulk or something along this line so that we can finish this so that it's watertight for inside the barn right there. So I think I'm going to try that and see what happens. Look at this thick steel. All right, we got through it. It was about 1/4 inch thick steel. It took me 5 minutes to drill through it probably. But what I want to make sure is when we bolt this or screw it to this board, I want to make sure that these hinges aren't going to get impeded by anything, so that make sure that the door is going to open freely, and we're not going to cause any issues or anything like that. So I just want to screw this on there and just to see what we're going to do. I don't have like a bolt, so I'm just going to try to use this deck screw here. We'll have to cut that off so we don't hurt ourselves. Let's see. See, there's like a gap where the hinge rides on it, so I think it's going to be fine. All right, so that one worked perfect. We're going to do probably 2 more, one in the middle and then one towards the top, and then we'll do the other shipping container after that. This looks thicker.
Yay!
I just want a nice gap. This door's always been harder to open, but there it is. Nice and strong. Fastened to the structure. So we're slowly tying these two structures together, which is really going to give it a lot of great strength. So next up is rafters. Oh boy.